Well, welcome to the McRae Trust, Wairoa, Hawke's Bay. This is a 600 hectare property of reasonably steep hill country and mixed with some flats. It was bequeathed to the nation by Miss May McRae in 1975, and the trust wasn't actually formed until 1979. But during that time it's been leased out while the trustees were deciding how to manage the property. Since then we've had several managers, and currently we've got some very good level of management where there is some very good stock performance and it's making some good money. Going back to the beginning of the trust, one of the reasons it was set up, it was bequeathed to the nation, but it was set up to demonstrate the good farming practices on the east coast. Also to encourage horticulture and silviculture. So as part of that trust deed, we've planted a number of forest blocks, and this is one here. This is our latest one, and 2002 planting of about 13 hectares of radiata pine, and it's looking pretty good. It's just almost completed its final tending processes. It's just got one thinning to go, then it'll be complete. There's still a little bit of grazing on the margins, but pretty much completely afforested. It was a steep block, as you can see, and there was quite a bit of erosion. There was a bit of reversion, especially up against what was formerly the neighbour's forest, and it was a difficult block to manage. So prior to the oil and gas drilling that went on here, we had no really good access. It's been quite fortunate that since it was planted, the road was built, and now we have excellent access right to the forest. So it couldn't have worked out better in the end. And of course, some farmers might even argue that it would have been, it's a shame it went into forest. But, you know, as good trustees of a property such as this, we believe we've done the right thing. It's very steep, and there's a lot of runoff here in our high rainfall events we get here in. You know, sometimes we can get like a couple of 100 mils overnight, and that's horrendous, you know. And running off these hills with no protection, it causes a lot of scouring of the gully and downstream problems. So we'll talk about it a bit more, but we've got a lot of pole planting on the property here, and of course you could see we started with those many years ago, and it was quite clear that some areas really needed forest. Yeah, and for ever since this trust started, the farm's been planting poles for erosion control, and it's a very necessary part of farming on the east coast. As you can tell, there's some recent erosion up this gully, and the best thing you can do on this kind of country is plant willows up the gullies, and it's just the same old recipe as it's been around for 40 years. Very successful and very effective. It also provides opportunity for fodder in a drought, and one of our managers here was very keen on that as a feed source in droughts, and he did it very successfully too. So this is a well planted gully. You can see that it's well covered. We've used Matsudana hybrids. There's even a wee patch of Kanuyanagi, you know, the Japanese willow at the very bottom here, just to add a bit of interest. And there are some scattered poplars. You can tell that the face does need more poplars, but the gully itself's been held up very, very well. Could probably use a few more down the bottom end here, but I'd suggest the spacing could be quite wide, really, just to get the, you can still get good results with quite wide spacings. They could be at least 20 metres apart down this bottom end. The biggest mistake people make when they plant willows is planting too close together, and they're not thinning out. So we suggest you either plant close together and thin out within 10 years, or just plant them, say, 20 metres apart. The very steep slopes on this particular face, which is quite typical of north-facing hills in the area, is too steep for poplars, so we tend to leave them unplanted or consider forestry at a later date.